Maybe I'm just too quiet. I'm just inappropriately too quiet when you're trying to get to know me, and kind of timid and shy. Just grow a pair, man. Ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears. It is most certainly the dangerous one, coming to you live from Little Italy. And remember to like, subscribe, pass this on to any man or woman that you feel could use some said advice. I don't even want to call it advice, because it's just sharing information. I'm not saying I'm always right, but I do have quite a bit of experience with some of this stuff, and I like to think that I'm fairly well educated in it, and we're just having a conversation, exchanging ideas. I know it's a monologue, but you're welcome to carry a conversation with me in any way, shape, or form if you'd like. As you know with dating, gentlemen, you know this. And women know this because they're dealing with us, okay? As with everything else in life, but really very much so in terms of social dynamics, dating, the mating game, sexual market, interpersonal intercommunications, personal communications with women, there are a lot of dichotomies out there, right? You know, for example, you want to be nice, but not too nice, right? You want to be nice, but not a doormat, you know? You want to be, you know, confident, but not arrogant. You want to be, you know, fun, but not over the top. You know, you want to be self-depreciating at sometimes, but you don't want to be too goofy and too, you know, everything's different. And what makes matters worse is that a lot of it's so variable, independent, like what depends on the person you're dealing with, what their personality is, what their scale of it is. Now, we know that attraction physically comes down to the median. We know that anything that goes past the median, so we know that the human face, for example, we're just talking about attraction in terms of physical attraction. You can take the human face, for example. We know that the median is generally accepted. The more average your face is, proportionality-wise, the more attractive the person is going to be, scientifically speaking. This is true. The more you deviate from that, the less attractive typically that is. Well, that doesn't just apply to physical, that also applies to behavioral. So, for example, this is a lot more subjective, though. I think a lot less scientific, but a lot more subjective. But however, nevertheless, you can kind of gauge, right? You can kind of gauge, you kind of know, right? Sometimes you can't help it because maybe you're in a bad state of mind or a bad emotional state, or, you know, you feel desperate or lonely or too excited or whatever the case may be. So sometimes you know how to act, but you're not acting accordingly because of your state of mind or emotional state, or what have you. But it does apply to emotion as well, these dichotomies. So, or this scale, if you will, of escaping the median. Right? If you go too excessive one way or the other, it's unattractive. For example, let's take the behavior of being loud, right? So if I'm talking to you like this, I'm speaking to you, and my voice is maybe a little deeper. Maybe you have a certain rhythm, and I have pitches and peaks and valleys to my voice, and I emphasize certain words, you know, that can be attractive. Maybe to some people, maybe not. But then I can get really loud, right? And when it's not like appropriate to be loud. This isn't a football game. Is that attractive? I mean, I'm just too quiet. I'm just inappropriately too quiet when you're trying to get to know me, and kind of timid and shy. Just grow a pair, man. Okay? You see what I'm saying? So the more you deviate from that median, the less attractive it's going to be. So that's just attractive levels. There's so many different variables there, but that's more subjective, right? And it's also more situational, as I just pointed out. So these dichotomies really play a big factor in how women specifically perceive us, gentlemen. Ladies, I'd like you to chime in. So for example, this is a big one, right? There's two dichotomies. I mean, there's so many of them, but we could talk about. Let's talk about two of them. Let's keep it simple. Talk about two of them. I think two of the ones that most men can relate to the most, because we're not always like, there are people. Let's take creepy, for example, right? Creepy. How do you not come off as creepy? Now, here's the thing. We all know that there can be just generally creepy guys, but there also can be guys that aren't generally creepy, but they're in a creepy state, or they're acting creepy because of maybe something's going on in their life, they're distracted or whatever. It's situational. How do we avoid that, right? That's a dichotomy. How do you show interest without being creepy? So let's take that one and we'll deal with that, and then we'll go into another one, right? So creepy is a big one. How not to be creepy. You know, and then maybe I'll label the video this so you'll watch it for the creep, but it's really about dichotomies in general and general attraction. But, you know, guys, you don't want to come off as creepy. There's no woman that's attracted to that, and rightfully so, right? You're not attracted to a creepy woman either. You know, what are the characteristics of creepy? Well, I guess that varies, and I guess it depends on what the person's perception is. But one thing I know that leads to being creepy is the feeling of isolation and desperateness, which leads to social awkwardness. And then somebody's trying to overplay it and to get out of their social awkwardness. We've all been through that, right? Especially if you given the pandemic, right? I'm sure there's a lot more creepy guys that have popped up lately, right? Right? Is it naturally creepy? No, there's a lot of guys that are just going through isolated states, and they're trying to get their head back on their shoulders properly and recalibrate and get back into the social, you know, the social thing. And we're all like that. I mean, I'm on social crack. I love getting in the mix, and I like to think that I'm pretty socially, you know, capable. But there have been times in this pandemic where I was like, who is this fool that is saying these words that are coming out? Where are these words coming from that are coming out of my mouth right now? And it's not me saying this. I don't know. This is a different state. I'm in a bad state mentally, right? From being isolated, from being emotionally isolated. I don't feel like myself. When you're not yourself, or you don't feel like yourself, it can translate in certain situations where you're feeling maybe insecure, you're feeling very self-conscious, you're caught off guard, and then you say something completely ridiculous and it comes off as being maybe creepy, right? You're not generally a creepy person, but it comes off that way and you're like, oh shit, I'm sorry, that wasn't me, that was my representative, and I'm really shitty when I'm firing that guy, right? It's not your good representative that you show up on first dates with, okay? It's this fucking stooge that's saying some shit that I would never normally say. Fire that motherfucker. I don't care how badass you are normally, like at your best self. You have times in your life, even the best of us, guys, you all know this, even the best of us have times where we are not our best selves and we couldn't pick up a high school fat chick, okay? Did that sound harsh? But you see what I'm saying to you. If that high school fat chick was 18, of course. Anyway, you get my point. And so I think in terms of being creepy or not being creepy, you have to be mindful of that state and maybe when to interact and when not to interact, right? But I think the big thing is desperateness. When you're acting creepy, there's a certain level of desperateness. You're staring, you're figuring out, you're saying something weird and then it's socially awkward, right? You know, you're trying too hard is really what it comes down to. Desperateness, and then trying to overcome that desperateness by trying too hard. In those situations, you should try less. You should give less than a fuck. And it's hard to do because a lot of these times comes from isolation, maybe being sexually frustrated, right? Women have a hard time understanding this because not generally often they can have sex whenever they want. So it's hard for them to understand. Plus, our sexual drive is different, right? So, but it's not just about sex, is it? In fact, you don't want it to be about sex. That's when it comes off being creepy, is when it's all about sex. It should just be about making a good impression. It should just be about connecting. Just be about two human beings being a locked in professional relationship builder. Hey, hell, nice to meet you, right? And being cool, calm, and collected, baby. Now, that's easier said than done if you're in a poor mental state and emotional state. I grant you that. But you're not going to get there by pushing harder. You're going to get out of that by pushing less hard, You can be out of it by relaxing. Chill, dude. It's all good. I'm money. Right? But again, that can't be false bravado. It's got to be authentic. It's got to be in here. Right? And you got to dig down. And I mean, when I say have some testicular fortitude, I don't mean like you should be overtly sexual. Because if guys are in a bad state, their default tends to be, I'm going to be more sexual. Women don't respond to that. They respond to what? Great communication and conversational skills. Getting to know them. Asking great questions. Being passionate. Connecting. Relating to them. Finding commonalities. Flirtation. Right? Making them want you. Flirtation out the ass. Right? But in a fun, playful way. Not creepy like you're making sexual remarks all the time. Although sometimes when it's appropriate. When it's appropriate to be inappropriate, you should be inappropriate. But you should know when that takes place. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you're in a creepy state of mind, when you're desperate or you're trying too hard, sometimes it's hard to discern those sort of scenarios. So, you just do the best that you can. But the answer is never trying too hard. Okay? There's a difference between being sexual, naughty, a little bit deviant, and a little bit edgy, a little bit of a bad boy, than it is being creepy. If you go past that line, that median, right, the sweet spot that we talked about, then it becomes creepy. And remember, every girl has a line. It's a little bit different because this is more subjective. So it's very important that you do a thorough needs analysis and figure out where her line is. Engage her. That's part of your job as a man, damn it. She does her part, but you have to do yours. So that's one. Here's another classic one that we guys struggle with. Being too nice, which leads to the friend zone, which leads to them feeling that you're weak. You don't want that, gentlemen. You are a strong, virile man. Now go act like it. But again, that's not trying too hard to be that. It's simply being comfortable within yourself, right? And you can do that only if you are doing the things, you're dream chasing, you're chasing your passions, you're building yourself, you have a lot of experience, or you at least, if you don't have a lot of experience, you at least have that vision for yourself, what you want to become as a man, and you're working towards that. Right? You're in the process of creating and cultivating that. Right? That's where that confidence comes from. Having these passions, having these dreams, and being excited about them. What skills you want to learn, add to your tool belt? What things are you learning? What contributions do you want to make as a man? Right? You don't have to promote that. She's going to feel that. It's going to come up in conversation because you have a certain energy about you because you're chasing these dreams and you're passionate, damn it, and you're curious and you are a man about town and you're a man of value. All right. So let me show you how much of a man of value. So this pen, these are the kind of pens I keep here. The Ritz-Carlton. There we go. So it really comes down to this dichotomy, which is nice, but not too nice. Friendly, but not a pushover. Has some backbone. Now, that doesn't mean you go overboard and you're a complete dick. That doesn't mean that she wants you to go to prison, although some girls are into that. I don't think that's the kind of girl you want, personally. But what I mean is that she can't steamroll you. If there's something you don't agree with, you say it. If she's acting a certain way you don't like it, you call her out. Right? If there's something you don't want to do, I'm not doing it. No, I disagree with you. This is why. No, we're not doing this. We're doing this. You got to put your foot down once in a while. Maybe a lot, depending on which girl. She may not like it, but she'll respect it. You can be a lot more sexually attractive to her than some pushover dude. Well, what do you think, dear? Well, what are you in the mood for? Are you attracted to that? Because I'm not. Right? So, that's not male energy. That's piss off with that. Right? That is society conditioning and training you to be more like females. Don't fall for that shit. They're not attracted to that. No real woman wants that. That doesn't mean be an asshole, mind you. That doesn't mean be an asshole. That doesn't mean not be friendly. That doesn't mean don't be respectful. That doesn't mean treat other people like assholes. But it does mean that you should be a little cocky, because you are. You should be a little bit edgy. Say some off-the-cuff things once in a while. Keep her on edge. Be a little unpredictable, because that's what you are after all. But here's the thing. Don't be nice. A lot of women tell you, well, just be yourself. No, That is terrible advice. How has acting like yourself gotten you so far? Where has that gotten you? You wouldn't be here listening to me, certainly, if that was working for you. Okay? So no, don't be yourself. Be the better version of yourself. Get in the process of creating that vision. Who are you as a man? Just like you were creating your life resume, right? Because you have a life resume and you have a work resume. You don't have any problem knowing what should be on your work resume, do you? Okay. Well, damn it. That's less important in your life resume. What skills do you want to add? You know, what passions do you have? What dreams are you chasing? What's your vision? You have to have that for anything else to occur in terms of attraction with women. You have to have that. That stimulates everything else. And anyway, I should say it informs everything else. So nice, but not too nice. Friendly, yes. Playful, absolutely. Flirtatious, of course. But nice, like weak. Nice, like a pushover. Nice, like too feminine. They're not interested in that. They'll be your friend all day. Oh, they'll keep you around whenever they need a nice shoulder to cry on or advice about how to handle their badass boyfriend that they have panty wedding sessions over, that they can never predict, that is always running around on them, that is, you know, which guy would you rather be is my question, right? Now, ideally, you want to be somewhere in the middle, right? Once again, in the middle. Classy bad boy. Gentleman bad boy, right? An edge, respectful edge, right? Cocky, yeah. Confident, absolutely. Arrogant, no. Right? Sure of yourself, yes. There's your dichotomies. So it's really hard to ride a line, admittedly so, right? Especially if you're not in a good state of mind, which a lot of us haven't been. I'll give you an example. Really not that long ago, there's a girl that I know. I met her in passing. I don't really know her that well, to be honest. But she caught me off guard, and I was busy doing. I was running some errand or something, and she caught me off guard. And she's an attractive girl, but she's not like money, but she's an attractive girl. And she caught me off guard. I was like in a t-shirt or something. I was probably, and because I know her just a little bit, but not that much, and I just wasn't in the frame of mind to even talk to anybody at that point, I was just kind of caught off guard. I started seeing some really weird stuff that was coming out of my mouth, like, what? And after the conversation, like, she looked at me kind of funny. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know why I said that either. I didn't say it out loud, but that was kind of like, all right, I'll be leaving now. You know what I mean? It was just like one of those things where it's like, all right, well, you know, all right, well, have a nice day, right? And afterwards, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm in some weird state, that was weird. Admittedly so. That was strange. But that wasn't me. That was my shit ass representative. That wasn't really me. So this can happen. It happens to the best of us. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's your state. It's not really you. Now, there are some fucking genuine creepers out there, some genuinely nice guys, right? So, you know, you really have to cultivate yourself, and you have to be aware and to kind of get those things out of you, right? Get those insecurities out of you, right? And they're going to keep popping up throughout life at some points in time when you're lower, or when you're not feeling your best about yourself, or you feel insecure. They're going to come back up, right? So those are two dichotomies that I'll bring you attention. So it's almost like, you know, but there's so many of them, you know them, right? But there's two right there that men come up with all the time. And how do you avoid that, right? Like I told you the creepy thing, that in terms of being nice, I think I did that too. Nice just means they perceive you as being weak. They perceive you as a friend. You're not edgy enough. You're not bold enough. You're not masculine enough. I don't mean go overboard and be Rambo. I'm simply meaning like, believe in yourself, believe in your ambitions, your goals, have a vision, have a drive that you're going after, and have perspective. If that perspective requires you having many girlfriends, then it's better than having no girlfriends, no perspective. By the way, if you don't have perspective, you're not going to have any girlfriends, because whether they're going to admit it or not, the frame of mind that you need to be in to attract the most women and to feel that way is to have a multitude of different women. This is biology. No one's going to tell you that, right? But it's true. It's absolutely true. And the woman, and there's a lot of guys, experienced guys out there that'll tell you this. There's not a lot of women that are going to ever understand this. But it's not their job to understand it. It's your job to understand it. Your job is to attract them. Your job is to help them be happy with you. Give them what they want. They don't want to be unhappy with you. They want to be attracted to you.